We're live. Huge thanks for joining myself. Look, do bear with me because I'm relatively new to YouTube Live. It's only my third ever interview on YouTube Live, and I think I've been on YouTube Live about 5 times. So, look, it's interesting because it's different to other platforms. One is widescreen. Look, I'm really delighted to be with Mo this afternoon. So huge thanks. I'm mesmerised by the view. You know, it brings me back to being at MIPIM at Cannes. So lovely marina behind us. Plymouth is an interesting area. It's geographically quite different parts of it. You've got really well-designed buildings, and you've got buildings which are just built after the Second World War. It's one of the most heavily destroyed cities in the UK, if not the most destroyed. But this is not a history or geographical lesson. It's more focused on your business structure. Yeah. So, from what I understand, you've got 2 core businesses: Moorview and KHP.
That's correct. Yeah.
Moorview is about management. KHP is about development.
Yeah, broadly, we do some project management of HMO. We do HMO refurbs in Moorview as well, and some sourcing of HMOs. But predominantly, Moorview is set up as a management company for HMOs and service accommodation, and then KHP is responsible for doing bigger developments.
So, just to focus on sourcing, focus on funding as well. One thing which really struck me, which was really interesting when I went to the chapel, and thank goodness we didn't do the interview in the chapel. It's not as elegant at the moment.
It's not as nice as this office.
No, definitely not. But it's an interesting project, and it is interesting about the funding as well, because no bank funding whatsoever.
We're using Crowd Property, which we've used on a previous development, and we found them really, really good. So it's a really quick way to raise a lot of money, and also it's quite good for your profile as well in terms of getting you out there to loads of investors. When we did our last project, which was a care home into 10 flats through Crowd Property, we actually got a lot of messages after just saying saw your deal on Crowd Property and really interested to come and have a look and things like that. So
is it important for you to have a profile as well on that particular platform? Does it help? I know you've got your own podcast. You've interviewed some really significant names like Nicole Bremner, Mark Stokes, and also a former rugby international star as well.
Yeah, the former England captain for Rugby Sevens.
So, is that important? Is that sort of like one of your thoughts? It's important to create.
Yeah, definitely. It's something I'm going to focus on in the next couple of years. I think from the podcast interview we did with Nicole, she said that her social media activity and her personal brand building that she did last year was one of the best things she's done in terms of opportunities. Raising finance deals, just getting out there. She's even got some like clothing sponsorship now.
Yeah, that's from what I understand. Yeah,
she's what's classed as a micro influencer. So it means you've got a small community of, really committed people that really engage with you. And even though I think she's at 15 or 20,000, which is not a lot by the standards of Instagram sort of celebrity these days in terms of millions, it's still. If their audience is engaged, it's still enough for a brand to do it. So the answer to that is something I need to focus on a lot more, and I do enjoy it. But yeah, definitely important to have personal.
What's your podcast called? Because it's changed name.
Yes, it has. So it's called Your Success Podcast, and the aim of it is to interview successful people in a wide variety of industries and understand the common themes that contribute towards success, whatever that means. Whether that's financial success, business success, family, doing a job you love, starting a business you really want to do, or just whatever you define as successful. So we've interviewed a rising Hollywood actress that's been in a few big films.
And Plymouth based as well. I listened to those podcasts yesterday.
We've interviewed Nicole, who's obviously super successful, Mark Stokes, Ollie Phillips, who's the ex-England rugby captain. So some really successful people on there, and
but there's also some nuts and bolts as well, some practical information.
Yeah, absolutely. And myself and Anglos, who I host with, try and do some discussions around things that we're facing in our business or things that we want to talk about, like why do you need a holiday anyway if you run your own business and you don't really class work as work. So we've done some discussions on like management versus leadership and things like that as well. So yeah, it's really good fun.
Sure. I usually ask people how they connect because life is about connection. So, and have I got his name right? Angelo?
Angelos.
Angelos.
Yeah.
Angelos. How did you connect?
So Angelos runs a successful property and business networking event down here called the Professional Investment Group, which has now got 3 locations in Cornwall, Plymouth, and Exeter, and is opening up some more. So I met him through that, and I sent him a message while he was on honeymoon saying, "Have you ever thought about doing a podcast?" Because I'm quite keen to do one. He was like, "Yeah, I was thinking of doing one actually," and then we just sort of brainstormed it out and started it. So it started off as actually being called Pig Pods.
Pig Pods, yeah.
But then we rebranded to Your Success Podcast because it more accurately reflects like what the podcast is about.
So look, we briefly looked at the funding.
Yeah.
In terms of sourcing as well, how did you come across the chapel?
So the chapel,
and if I haven't explained to the listeners succinctly enough, it's a 30-unit site.
Yes, it's going to be 30 HMO rooms split over 6 flats. Yeah.
And at the moment, it needs quite a bit of work.
Yeah. A
so,
little bit, yeah.
In terms of the timescale, have you looked at how long that's going to take?
Yeah, I think it's going to take between 9 and 12 months for the actual construction work. But actually, the time coming up to where we are now, and we're not even like fully on site yet, it's been sort of like 18 months since we actually first started looking at it. That's a combination of sort of negotiations with the owners, doing our own due diligence on it, sort of back and forth. So it's been a slow burn.
And you were explaining it to me offline about the sourcing, how you came across that particular deal.
Yeah, so we've driven past it a few times. It's sort of near an area we used to live when we were at university, North Road West, and then just saw it on Property Link Estates Gazette, and it's actually with Stratton Creeber, who's an agent down here. And yes, I think because it's listed and because it's sort of falling apart, and it's a really tricky. It's a really tricky building. There wasn't that much competition. There was a few other people interested, but actually it was there wasn't that many other people interested in it.
Sure.
So,
and I take one of the reasons why they weren't interested in it, or that interested in it, not just because of the amount of work, possibly the fact it was listed as well.
Yeah, it's listed. It's sort of in a really bad state of repair, falling down. It's also the only real viable use for it is as HMO, and they're not granting, because it's Article 4 area, they're not granting any new HMOs in the area that it's in. So we've been fortunate that we've been able to get planning permission for a change of use into HMO flats, because the council just want us to bring it back into use so much. But that obviously put a lot of people off, because trying to do a flat scheme in there just wouldn't work. It's not viable because there's so much work required. You have to really put something quite intense in there.
So look, if you've got an interesting story to share, and if it's near a lovely marina like Plymouth, I'm definitely happy to travel. UK, although could be tempted. Maybe I've got an interview with Steve Colley. Maybe I'll be going to France with him next year.
Yeah, definitely.
Never know.
Skiing, yeah.
So Mo, how can people find out more about you?
So the best place is Facebook and Instagram, really. Morat.
You didn't hear that on YouTube now.
And YouTube. I don't actually have it. We've got a YouTube channel for Your Success Podcast, so definitely check that out. But yeah, Facebook and Instagram, Morat Hakir on both of those.
So huge thanks for joining myself, and huge thanks to Mo as well. Thank you.